Have you ever stepped into your garden on a bright spring morning, the soil cool and crumbly beneath your bare feet, only to feel that familiar tug of frustration as your tomato vines demand staking yet again? Your lettuce bolts at the first warm spell, and those beans produce just enough for a single meal after all the fuss. It's a tale so many of us know too well. The sweat, the endless watering twice a day, the disappointment when a sudden rain splits the fruit you waited months for. But what if the garden could whisper a gentler story? One where plants thrive on the very neglect we sometimes give them by accident. These 19 forgotten vegetables, the quiet heroes that fed entire families across Europe and America generations ago, are 3 times easier to grow, twice as packed with deep-down nutrition, and they laugh at poor soil, drought, and busy schedules. One spread so aggressively in old European plots that gardeners tried banning it from their borders. Yet with a few simple tricks, it becomes a loyal friend worth every inch. Another yields 10 times more food per square foot than the crops you're tending right now. Yet seed companies rarely stock it anymore. They sustained households through lean times with almost no coaxing, then slipped quietly from modern beds as flashy hybrids took center stage. Today, as a fellow gardener sharing thoughts from the soil, I'm thrilled to bring them back into our organic, sustainable patches, the kind filled with homesteading heart and cottage garden charm, where soil health and biodiversity come first. Let's wander through them together, with real-life stories from temperate beds, practical tips for our varied climates from Zone 3 winters in the Midwest or UK to milder summers in California or southern France, companion ideas, troubleshooting fixes, and small wins that make every season feel like a gentle victory. Why lean into these old-timers instead of the usual suspects? Because they teach us the joy of working with nature rather than wrestling it. Their deep roots break up compacted earth, pull nutrients up from below, and leave the soil richer for everything else you grow. Many are perennials or eager self-seeders, so one planting or scattering means years of free harvests while you sip coffee on the porch, listening to bees hum. They adapt beautifully to our unpredictable weather, cold snaps in New England or Germany, heat waves in the South or Mediterranean Europe, turning challenging corners into productive havens. You'll find sensory delights too. The crisp snap of a leaf between your fingers, the earthy sweetness released when you pull a root after frost, the way dew glistens on lush foliage at dawn. And best of all, they invite biodiversity, drawing pollinators and beneficial insects that keep pests in check without sprays. We'll cover how to start them simply, when to harvest for peak flavor, pros and cons with honest balance, and ways to weave them into your existing beds for that seamless cottage feel. Purslane, the humble spread that turns weeds into wealth. Picture purslane sprawling like a living green quilt across a sunny bed, or even cracks in the path. Its succulent paddle leaves catching morning light with a juicy shimmer. Most folks rip it out and toss it aside, never knowing it was a staple vegetable long before lettuce claimed the throne in ancient gardens. Its crisp, lemony bite brings a bright lift to salads, pestos, or quick pickles, and those leaves hold more omega-3 fatty acids than many ocean fish. Pure gold for heart and body in an organic kitchen. In the scorching heat of July across U.S. zones 5 to 9, or similar hot spells in Spain and Italy, it thrives where other greens wilt, needing almost no water once settled, and spreading gently to shade the soil, lock in moisture, and crowd out unwanted seedlings. Start by simply encouraging volunteers. Let a few plants flower late in the season so their tiny seeds drop naturally. Come spring, they'll appear like old friends ready to work. Harvest tender tips before blooms for the sweetest texture. Snip them fresh for a tangy addition to cucumber salads. Or blend into a vibrant green sauce that captures summer in every spoonful. For cooler northern edges, like Zone 4 gardens in the Pacific Northwest or Scotland, tuck transplants into warm microclimates beside south-facing walls. A small garden moment I cherish. Last August, in a neglected corner with sandy, tired soil, a purslane patch turned bare earth into a lush carpet, yielding handfuls 3 times weekly, with zero extra care beyond occasional thinning. That's the quiet magic. Neglect becomes abundance. Pros shine bright. Lightning growth. Drought champion. Self-seeding for free yearly crops. Soil protection built right in. The only real con is its eagerness to roam, easily reined in by harvesting often or using a simple mulch border of straw or wood chips. Companion it under tall corn or pole beans for living mulch that keeps roots cool and brings pollinators when tiny yellow flowers open. Troubleshooting in damp UK or eastern US springs? Thin early for airflow to dodge mold, or improve drainage with a handful of grit mixed in. In extra dry years common in Mediterranean Europe, it still sails through, but a light compost top dressing helps if you notice slower spread. Its flowers draw bees, boosting the whole garden's buzz and balance. Good King Henry, the perennial that returns like a faithful old friend. Shift your gaze to a plant that asks for one gentle planting and rewards you for decades with spinach-like leaves and asparagus-flavored shoots. Good King Henry, a medieval favorite in European cottage borders from England to the Alps, faded when modern spinach arrived, but deserves a proud return in today's low-maintenance plots. Hardy through Zone 3 winters in the snowy Midwest or frosty Nordic regions, it emerges stronger each spring without coaxing, tolerating shade, poor fertility, and neglect like few others. Its broad leaves cook tender and mild with less bite than spinach, while early shoots offer a delicate, nutty crunch perfect for light steaming with butter and herbs. Set it in a semi-shaded corner of your perennial bed where roots can dive deep, aerating soil and pulling up hidden nutrients for neighboring plants. No rich fertilizers needed, just average earth and patience the first year while it settles. Harvest young growth sparingly at first, then more freely as it matures, always leaving enough foliage to fuel regrowth. Allow a few flower stalks to mature in late summer so seeds drop and create gentle volunteers nearby. In hot, dry summers of Zone 7 California or southern France, afternoon shade keeps leaves succulent and sweet. One quiet story from garden life. A clump tucked beside an old stone wall survived 2 harsh winters and delivered early greens when the rest of the bed was still bare, turning simple omelets into seasonal celebrations. Pros include remarkable longevity, 20 years common, strong pest resistance from its aromatic leaves, and natural soil building. Cons? Slow start the first season, but that patience pays in effortless abundance later. Pair it with strawberries or rhubarb for a beautiful edible edging that shares space happily. Troubleshooting slugs in damp springs? A shallow beer trap sunk at soil level keeps them away organically. For biodiversity, its blooms attract early bees, enhancing pollination across your plot. In wetter UK climates, ensure slight elevation to prevent winter rot, and you'll enjoy harvests from the same plant for a lifetime. Malabar spinach, the heat-loving climber that rewards every snip. When ordinary spinach surrenders to summer's blaze, Malabar spinach steps forward like a vigorous old friend from tropical heritage gardens, now perfectly suited to temperate backyards. This climbing vine loves heat, poor soil, and minimal fuss, sending thick, glossy leaves scrambling up fences, trellises, or even sunflowers with lush abundance. The mild, slightly peppery greens shine in stir-fries, soups, or fresh wraps, and the more you harvest, the bushier it grows. Proof that the plant thanks you for paying attention in the gentlest way. In U.S. zones 6 to 10, or milder European summers from France to Greece, it turns forgotten vertical spaces into walls of green that produce from midsummer until frost. Start seeds indoors early, or direct sow after soil warms. Then guide young vines onto supports with soft ties. Once established, it asks little beyond occasional picking and perhaps a light mulch to hold moisture. Let a few stems flower and drop seeds at season's end for next year's volunteers popping up like surprises in the same corner. Last season, a single vine beside an old chain-link fence, watered maybe 4 times total, covered 8 feet and supplied salads for months. Pure, lazy gardening joy. For cooler northern zones, choose a warm microclimate or use row covers early on. Pros: continuous harvest, vertical space saver, drought tolerance once rooted. Cons: needs support to climb best, though it adapts to sprawl if you prefer. Companion with upright beans or corn for mutual shading and pest confusion. Troubleshooting pests in humid areas? A strong hose spray dislodges aphids easily, or interplant with marigolds for natural deterrence. Its thick leaves hold up beautifully in stir-fries with garlic from your own bed, filling the kitchen with comforting aromas. Skirret, the ancient root that keeps producing quietly. Delve into the soil for skirret, an old European root vegetable that predates carrots and parsnips yet offers sweet, nutty clusters with almost no ongoing care. Once a medieval staple, it forms perennial clumps that reward you year after year. Just dig what you need and let the rest recharge. Its delicate flavor shines roasted with herbs or in creamy soups, and the roots store well in a cool cellar or left in the ground through light frosts. In temperate beds from Zone 4 Midwest gardens to similar UK or German plots, it tolerates poor fertility and light shade, its roots naturally loosening heavy clay over time. Plant crowns or seeds in loose, well-drained soil in early spring, then step back. Harvest in late fall after frost sweetens them, using a garden fork to lift gently and avoid breakage. Leave some tubers behind for next season's growth. Pros: perennial reliability, storage ease, soil improvement. Cons: slower first-year growth, brittle roots if yanked too hard. Pair with alliums like garlic to deter soil pests. If clay soil compacts in wet winters, add sand or compost lightly the first year only. The subtle sweetness in a winter stew feels like a gift from forgotten times. Hamburg parsley, the dual-purpose root hiding in plain sight. Hamburg parsley brings a sweet, nutty taproot that once anchored European winter tables, its edible leaves adding parsley flavor on top. Unlike leafy types, focus on the thick underground treasure that stores for months and sweetens after frost. Hardy in cold zones, it handles poor soil and light neglect, making it ideal for northern gardeners facing short seasons. Plant in deep beds in late summer for overwintering, then harvest roots after a few frosts enhance their flavor. Leave a few to flower and reseed naturally. Pros: dual harvest, cold tolerance, self-perpetuating. Cons: needs deep soil to avoid forked roots. Companion with carrots for shared pest protection. Troubleshooting dry spells? Its taproot reaches deep moisture. Roast slices with olive oil for a simple side that warms the soul on chilly evenings. Salsify, the oyster-flavored root that sweetens with patience. Salsify, often called the oyster plant for its subtle seafood-like note when cooked, was common before potatoes dominated. Long white roots develop in loose, sandy soils, common in coastal Europe or U.S. Northwest, thriving on drought once established. Harvest after frost for peak sweetness, digging carefully with a fork. Self-seeding ensures future crops. Pros: winter hardiness, unique flavor. Cons: slow growth. Pair with marigolds against nematodes. In a creamy soup on a frosty night, it connects you to simpler harvests. Scorzonera, the dark root rebel, worth guiding gently. Scorzonera, or black salsify, offers long, dark roots with nutty sweetness that stores exceptionally and improves with age. Once common but sometimes banned for aggressive spread in old gardens, its vigor is perfect for contained lazy beds. Thrives in poor, sandy soil across temperate zones, shrugging off harsh weather. Harvest post-frost, leave some for self-seeding. Pros: storage champ, multi-use leaves. Cons: needs containment, use mulch borders. Companion with deep-rooted perennials. Young leaves add extra greens. Control spread by timely pulls for compost. Lovage, the towering aromatic that flavors everything. Lovage stands tall like a garden sentinel, every part edible with strong celery aroma for soups, stews, and more. Perennial and nearly impossible to kill, it returns vigorously in cold zones, reaching 6 feet with minimal care. Plant near fences for support, and harvest leaves early for best flavor. Pros: zero-waste plant, pest resistance. Cons: can overshadow small companions if unchecked. Pair with strawberries for shade. Let seeds drop for volunteers. Its scent draws beneficial insects, enriching the whole bed. Chayote, the prolific vine that turns corners into bounty. Chayote vines cover fences with squash-like fruits and edible leaves, thriving in heat with low care. In milder temperate summers, mulch heavily for perennial returns. Each vine yields dozens. Let fruits drop to sprout naturally. Pros: multi-part edibility, shade provider. Cons: needs warmth in cooler zones. Companion with beans for nitrogen. Train over arbors for living structures that cool soil below. Egyptian walking onion, the self-planting wonder that wanders. Egyptian walking onions multiply by top bulbils that bend and root where they fall, creating expanding patches with no replanting. Hardy and cold, they give greens and bulbs year-round. Leave bulbils for natural spread. Pros: autopilot growth, dual harvest. Cons: can wander, guide with borders. Companion with herbs for pest confusion. A small patch feeds steadily through seasons. Groundnut, the nitrogen-fixing tuber with native roots. Groundnut vines produce protein-rich tubers tasting nutty when cooked, fixing nitrogen to enrich soil. Spreads gently in moist, well-drained spots. Harvest fall, leave some for regrowth. Pros: soil builder, multi-food source. Cons: needs moisture initially. Companion in food forest edges. Tubers roast beautifully for hearty meals. Caucasian spinach, the shade-loving climber that lasts decades. Caucasian spinach climbs in shade with mild perennial leaves for salads and sautés. Once established, it returns for years with little fuss. Allow seeding for patches. Pros: shade tolerance, longevity. Cons: slower spread at first. Companion under trees for understory green. Ideal for north-facing walls in UK or northern US. Orach, the colorful, heat-tolerant salad bar that plants itself. Orach offers vibrant leaves with salty flavor, tolerating drought and poor soil. Upright growth adds beauty, self-seeds readily. Harvest continuously. Pros: heat and drought champ, colorful. Cons: can bolt in extreme heat, pinch tips. Companion with flowers for visual harmony. Creates a perpetual salad supply. Yardlong bean, the prolific climber that overflows baskets. Yardlong beans produce pods up to 3 feet long from few vines, thriving in heat and poor soil. Pick young for tenderness, save some for volunteers. Pros: massive yield per space. Cons: needs trellis. Companion with corn for support. Harvest weekly from summer to frost for family feasts. Sea kale, the coastal perennial that provides spring shoots. Sea kale yields blanched shoots in spring and leaves later, tough in sandy, poor soil. Blanch by earthing up for tenderness. Perennial and wind-resistant. Pros: coastal hardiness, early harvest. Cons: slow start. Companion in exposed beds. Perfect for challenging seaside or windy plots. Cardoon, the architectural ancestor that gives tall drama. Cardoon, wild artichoke kin, offers blanched celery-like stalks. Tall and bushy once settled, it self-seeds if allowed. Cut back in winter. Pros: productive, low maintenance. Cons: needs blanching effort. Companion for structural interest, adds cottage height and charm. Common mallow, the weedy green that thickens soups beautifully. Common mallow provides tender, mucilaginous leaves for soups and salads, spreading readily in poor soil. Harvest young, control by pulling extras. Pros: year-round in mild areas, reliable. Cons: aggressive, mulch to contain. Companion with nasturtiums for balance. Turns weedy spots into edible abundance. Oca, the colorful tuber that loves cool summers. Oca produces vibrant red, purple, yellow tubers and edible leaves, adapting to cool, temperate summers. Leave tubers for natural spread. Pros: nutrient-rich, multi-harvest. Cons: prefers cooler conditions. Companion with quinoa-like plants. Sweetens after storage for unique dishes. Crons, the crunchy spiral tuber that clusters happily. Crons yields small spiral tubers with nutty crunch, thriving in loose soil with neglect. Harvest fall, leave some for next year. Pros: unique texture, easy clusters. Cons: can spread underground, contain if desired. Companion in mixed root beds. Perfect for stir-fries or pickles year after year. As the sun dips low and long shadows stretch across your beds, the rich scent of turned earth and growing things wrapping around you like a gentle embrace. Remember, these 19 plants carry wisdom from the soil itself. They prove that gardening doesn't have to mean endless labor or perfect conditions. Just the right choices and a willingness to step back and watch nature do what it does best. Pick 3 that spark joy in your heart this season. Maybe purslane for quick wins, or lovage for towering flavor. Plant them, tend lightly, and notice the small miracles. Richer soil, busier pollinators, baskets that fill themselves. Your garden, whether a small suburban plot in the States or a cozy allotment in Europe, can become a resilient, joyful haven filled with biodiversity and real nourishment. The earth is ready, patient and generous. Go give these forgotten friends a home. Feel the connection deepen with every harvest, and watch your patch bloom into something truly alive and abundant. The seasons ahead hold more ease and wonder than you might imagine. Step outside, sink your hands in, and let the soil share its quiet secrets with you.